Hey, have you ever had an episode where you shoulded yourself? I know in my experiences, I've had a life full of shoulding myself moments, potential shouldings, actual shouldings. Those aren't pleasant. When you look back on your life and you think of all the times you shoulded yourself, you're going to maybe wish you hadn't because of what you missed out on or what you held back, how you held back your potential. Maybe there was a calling or a purpose that was sitting there just waiting for you to grab a hold of it, but you went ahead and passed and then realized that got added to the list of shoulding experiences. So today is called, if you haven't guessed, shoulding yourself. Call it a play on words if you want. Not trying to be crude, but it is what it is. We all know there are times, maybe even today, where the coulda, shoulda, woulda became the shark infested waters of your day or your life. And you look back, even yesterday, you look back and think, I should have done that. I could have done that. What if I would have done that? And those all stack up and accumulate to missed opportunities. We've all done it. We're all going to continue to do it. But today I want to try to mitigate some of that with you. And as we go into 2022, everybody's talking about what they want to do, what they plan to do, goals, resolutions that eventually peter out after the first month. As you know, all the New Year's resolutions, about 80% of them, in fact, quit. People quit those a month into the year. So let's try to make today a session on limiting or shoulding episodes, because that really those are moments where I could consider those a no wake zone, where I feel like as long as the waters are calm, everything's good, right? I should have done that, but it would have got a little choppy. The open sea might have got rough. We might have had 2 or 3 foot of chop out there, white cap in the day if I'd have done this, if I'd have stepped out into this situation. So I've always considered that my no wake zone to my detriment. Tread the waters that are treadable has always been a mantra of mine in the past. And that gets us into really days of regret. Hopefully not a life of regret, but, seasons of regret, of course. So let's get out of that no wake zone today and let's talk about ways and dangers of shoulding ourselves. What are some of those dangers? Of course, the regret, like I just said, the, to steal a little bit of the vernacular of the next generation, the young people. I don't consider myself in that group, for sure. But the FOMO, the fear of missing out, right? We have the fear of missing out, yet we kind of sit back and watch other people's life go by and wish we'd have done what they're doing. So the FOMO, the regret, the dangers of shoulding ourselves is we get into the point of no return sometimes because you can't go back and redo. We don't get the redo sometimes. Sure, we can make adjustments and do it differently the next time, but that one particular instance in life that crosses our path, we don't get a redo many times. And that's, it's sad. It's sad that we get ourselves in that situation and then we start looking back and seeing all those opportunities that we should have capitalized on and didn't. So that we're past that point of no return. We can't get back to that. And that's what I want to avoid. I want to today hopefully equip you to not look back on those moments of point of no return and the FOMOs and the regrets, and hopefully I can let you see through a different lens today, that keeps you from having to make some of my mistakes and some of the mistakes that you might potentially down the road make you don't see yet Maybe we'll eliminate those today. So, what are some ways that we should ourselves? Well, we've got the obvious. It should, you know, it should have turned out differently. I went to college, got a degree, got a job, got married, had kids. But then we step back at the panoramic of our days in that space, and some of us may think it should have looked a little different. My career, my marriage, the way I parent, it should have turned out different. The complexion, it should have looked a little cleaner, a little less bumpy. Some of those things that were self-induced that I caused, right? It should have been different, or it should have not even happened. The it shoulds, that's a big one. You know, uh, the job, you're in this job that you're going through the motions, you're checking the boxes, you're getting up every day, you're consistent, you're reliable. That's great. But you're still in that same position because you didn't step out in any risk scenarios. You didn't take risks. You didn't take chances on yourself. You didn't risk maybe expanding your capacity for learning or growing. You stayed safe again in that no wake zone. And it should look different. That doesn't help you though, does it? Saying that it should, but doesn't. There's always something after that shoulding comment. We make this mess of shoulding ourselves, and the it should, but it didn't, always follows. And so the second one, I think, of the ways we should ourselves is the they should. So we love getting in this place of deferring ownership of an outcome. The blame game, if you will. We're famous for blaming people. They should have reacted differently. They should have allowed me this opportunity. They should have reached out to me and asked me for help or advice, or asked me if I would be interested in blank. It's all about what they should have done, which puts us in this defensive capacity of reaction to others, reaction to circumstance, situation. We're in reactionary mode when we sit around and play the they should game. Why are we dependent on other people for our actions, for our fate, our destiny, our future? They should, they're not obligated to do anything. They, whoever they are, but they should have done something differently, not us, right? Because we dotted the I's and crossed the T's. We did what we were supposed to do, even though it was the path of least resistance a lot of times, which is why we miss out, which is why we end up shooting ourselves. But we always come back to somebody else's fault, and somebody else didn't do it. They dropped the ball, not me. They should. And what does that follow with? They should have this, but they didn't, so I'd missed out. They should have instead of me. We got to get in the mirror and point the finger at the right person on some of this stuff. Yes, there are times where other people affect us and impact us by their bad decisions, and we have to sort of react and respond, right? We can't always control that, but there are certain things about our lives where we could take steps that we don't have to rely on the they should. So the next one, the last one on that one, the three ways we should ourselves would be I should. Yeah, I should get in shape. I should intentionally date my wife, even though we've been married 26 years. And I don't feel like I have to do much anymore. It's kind of working itself. It's a well-oiled machine. No, it's not. It's constant work, investment, intentionality. I should do this, but I don't. That's what follows I should. I should get in shape, but I don't, because it's easier to sit here and talk about it and think about it and Google all the workout programs and the nutrition regimens and diets. It's easier to do that. Fill myself full of knowledge, but then there's no action attached to it. So I should be better equipped, but I'm not. Why aren't you? Why, whose fault is that? I should get a promotion. What have you done? Where's the value that can quantify the validity and reinforce your argument that you should get the promotion? I should take more trips with my kids, just me and them going somewhere and doing something. I'm talking to myself there. I mean, I could make more of an effort in that, but as kids get older, they start doing their own thing and they start having these friends and these groups and these activities. And so are we phased out a little? Well, if we let ourselves, yeah, I should step in and make those times happen, create moments, memories. I should, but why don't I? Well, it's easy to not, you can still engage with them, communicate, love, invest, train, do those things as a parent. I should do more. Well, okay. I would follow the I shoulda with why don't you? We've all used COVID for 2 years as an excuse for why we didn't do something. We've been allowed to enable that shoulding episode, those shoulding episodes of ourselves that with COVID and the excuses, and we've given ourselves a hall pass there. I mean, no more. I mean, there's got to be a statute of limitations on that by now. At this point, it's time to start living again. So I've got ways that we can stifle the shoulding episodes. So that's what I'm about in 2022. I mean, I'm about that now. I've gradually progressed the ball down the court, right? We've progressed down the field, moving the chains a little bit. In my life, I have, but there's ways I can still fall into the trap and have those unexpected shoulding moments. And I don't want any of those. I don't want any of those anymore. It's time to stop playing the it should, they should, I should. Okay. So here we go. 3 ways to stifle the shoulding. First one, I would say we got to step into the sticky, right? Sometimes there's a mess. We got to step in to get to the other side. Sometimes there's some sticky situations we got to thrust ourselves into. We got to enlist our abilities and gifts and skill sets into situations that are sticky. Those create moments and opportunities for us to be the rescue hero or to be the answer, to be the solution. We all talk about, all of us guys want to be fixers. Here's how we do it. We take opportunities that nobody else wants. We step into the piles of sticky that nobody wants to step in. We should be able to do that. We're providers, protectors. We're leaders, right? We're warriors. We're supposed to be. We're supposed to have dominion, sovereignty over these things. If everything we were called to do as men was easy and smooth, everybody else would do it. They would need the men to set apart from the group. So we got to volunteer for those sticky moments. Step into the sticky. There's moments in parenting where I don't want to have conversations. Let's just say I'm flat out lazy and don't want to start or engage in a conversation that I know might lead to a 45-minute conflict or confrontation or disagreement. But I got to step into that. And I wish, again, I should have, again, here we go again with the shoulding that I did a lot of my life. I should have been more active in that role long ago when they were younger, right? And I did do that some, but I think if we let one moment slip by us, we've let too many. So those sticky situations are out there. I think we avoid them. I think we circumvent them. I think we ignore them. And if we ignore them long enough, we just figure they'll go away or fix themselves. They don't. So that's the first one, is step into the sticky. So the next one's actualize action. We talk about action all the time. We talk about, okay, let's take action. Let's activate our faith. Let's activate our gifts. Let's activate a purpose, which is to say, to be on purpose. We got to be done being accidents as men. Accidents, in my opinion, become cautionary tales to ourselves and to others. We look back and go, oh, look what he did. Or, man, how could he have done that differently? He really missed it. Because we didn't actualize our action. We talked about action, but it wasn't like actually action. So let's actualize our action. Let's make it a thing. Make it a reality. Let's not talk about action. Guys, we got to get our hands dirty. I mean, if we don't have any, if there aren't any nicks on us or no scars or wounds, no bloody trail from when we stepped into situations we were trying to avoid. Bloody trail is figurative, by the way. Maybe. Right? Maybe there's some situation we got to get our hands dirty, and literally there could be a few scrapes here and there, but we got to get active. We got to activate some things. What is the worst thing that can happen? Literally, like when we get out there and we start doing this and we step into sticky and then we start actualizing our action, what can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? Right? We most likely won't make it worse. We'll most likely make it better or mitigate the fallout from it. But we're not going to create this destruction that has all this collateral damage that we think is going to happen. That's why we say, oh, well, we should have done this, but we didn't because it was risky, or it was too, I don't know, it might have been too volatile. There might have been too many casualties of that war, so to speak. Actualize the action, people. I'm talking to myself too. I've been doing that a lot more in the last few years. Like, I think COVID even created more in me that wanted to just see what happened. Do it and see what happened. Do it and maybe ask forgiveness later. But if I mess up, at least I messed up getting dirty. I don't want any more of my mess ups to be because I should have done something. The mess ups could be the regret. I don't want any more of that. The shoulding is messy. I don't want to clean up any more shoulding episodes. So the last one here I would say is we've got, we said step into sticky, actualize action. We got seek solid sustenance. I don't mean food. I don't mean diet. I mean, let's seek substance, solid sustenance out there that is these tangible moments that we can make a difference in, make an impact, and we can take a bite out of something. Right? We can step into something that's got some substance, some density to it. Get into a situation where you confront conversations with your wife. You initiate conversations about topics you've been avoiding for years. Things that might get touchy-feely and you've avoided, or things that might flip the mirror around on you and expose some of your inadequacies or failures. We don't want that. But that's the solid sustenance. That's what moves the needle in life, relationships, finances. Step out into solid sustenance and actually create a budget. Actually sacrifice financially in some areas where you spend frivolously. but then wonder why you can't pay the light bill. That is meat and potatoes in life that moves the needle. Go sit down with your boss. Tell him, look, I want your job if that's what you want. Or I want more responsibility here because I think I'm good at coaching and I don't have anybody to coach. Guess what? Put your money where your mouth is, because that bite out of that solid sustenance and those meat and potatoes, that bite's going to require some chewing, some digesting, some actual effort on your part to get that bite, to get that chewed up and molded into what you want it to be. That's what I'm saying to do, is to step out into these areas where there's some thickness. We're so involved in social media and these empty interactions, these shallow conversations or engagements online, or even conflicts that we feel like are real meaty and they're real solid, right? These are conversations of substance, but they're not. It's you behind a keyboard, someone else behind a keyboard, and everybody thinks they're tough. Everybody has a stance, which is fine, but everybody wants to disagree and divide because it's shallow enough to not have any real substance to it. So there's really nobody that can be impacted adversely from it. So as men, we're called to chew on real food, solid food. Guess what? The more of those you stack up in your life, the less shoulding of yourself you will do. You can avoid those shoulding episodes when we seek the solid sustenance. So, look, we've all done it. We all will probably do it a time or two in the future. I'm saying to you and me, there are moments you can impact when you do these things we talked about. You get out of this shark-infested waters of your no-wake zone because you've got all this regret, this fear of missing out, the point of no return because you shoulded way too much. You shoulded your proverbial pants too much. So the ways we do that is the it should, they should, I should, right? We just recap. So we got to stifle this. Scrap the shoulding by stepping into sticky, actualizing your action, and seeking solid sustenance. Go out there and crush it. Go win. God's with you. God's for you. Watch what he does in your life. With that, till next time, be blessed.